Hey, I'm Mike, and let's talk about the benefits of the North. In particular, I got asked when I started to look for PhDs by my family why I kept applying to places in the North when most of my family is down the south of England. Do don't worry, Mum, I don't hate you. There is a method in this madness. Now, in principle, you can try and apply anywhere. North, south, outside the country, doesn't matter. Jobs anywhere, try and get. But the very interesting about PhD here is that it's usually a flat rate around the country, with only a small number of exceptions. If you're in a London university, you get paid a bit more. I think there's a couple of others, but there's not really that much. Usually it's a flat rate around the country. Whereas with a lot of other jobs, of course, the pay changes, almost town to town sometimes. Very slight amounts, but the pay changes because the cost of living in these places changes. And when something like a PhD doesn't, there becomes a massive difference between places which have fairly cheap rent and places which don't. In my case, because I'm up north, I pay less than £500 a month for my own apartment, so I'm not even having to share for that. There's most of the places that I looked at down south, you can't get anywhere near that. And the result of this is quite simple. I'm looking at this, and I'm looking at getting a mortgage basically as soon as I leave. I'll probably give it about 6 months, especially if I move city between end of PhD and start of job, just because it gives me a bit of time to settle rather than rushing into buying a place. But the money point of it, because of that mortgage, out of a PhD of about 15 grand, I put away about £5,000 of that a year. Add that up over 3.5 years or so, I'm starting to get to a decent point and can at least get an apartment in a lot of places. No one I know down south is in that position. That's just it. Even people who had sort of financial help that I don't have from family, they're not going to be in that position just because your major cost is always going to be rent. So, as sad as it is to say, I'm going to take that bit of extra distance from people I know and stay up north because it does so much better and it puts me in a much better position.